Today, we're not just going to talk about getting rich. We're going deeper. We're deconstructing the actual engineered blueprints people have used to build real power and massive fortunes, literally from the ground up.
This really sets the stage for everything we're about to cover. The core idea here is that power isn't about luck. It's not an accident. It's a machine. It's built, piece by piece, with a clear strategy in mind.
So that leads to the big question, right? If power is engineered, then what are the blueprints? How do you actually build it? Well, let's dive in and take a look.
Okay, our first blueprint is all about the physical world. We're talking about controlling the hard assets, the real-world stuff that a nation literally cannot function without. This is the bedrock.
So, meet our first archetype, the industrial king. Think of someone like Aliko Dangote. These aren't people building the next social media app. They're building cement plants, steel mills, and energy grids. And the way it's described is perfect. This is slow, brutal, capital-intensive wealth. It's foundational, because at a certain point, you're not just a player in the economy. Governments literally depend on you.
Now, this slide shows the game-changing pivot. There's this crucial realization. If all you do is import goods, you're always dependent, you're always weak. But if you're the one manufacturing the essential stuff, well, then you become untouchable. It's the move from being a middleman to being the source of power itself.
And this just shows you the sheer scale we're talking about. It's not just one industry. It's about owning the choke points of an entire economy. The materials to build things, the energy to power everything, the networks to communicate, and the ports to trade. This is deep, invisible infrastructure power.
All right, so let's shift gears. We're moving from the physical world of concrete and steel to our second blueprint. This one is all about mastering the abstract but just as critical worlds of software and capital. This is about controlling the systems that run modern life.
And this brings us to the tech capital allocator, like Robert F. Smith. Their playbook is just methodical. It's not about finding the next big thing. It's about acquiring stable, maybe even kind of boring enterprise software, optimizing the heck out of it, locking in that sweet recurring revenue, and then cashing out. It's capitalism with the emotion completely removed.
And you know, the crucial difference here is the kind of risk involved. For the allocator, the risk is financial. It's a calculated bet in a big portfolio. But for the tech founder, like Tope Awotona from Calendly, the risk is existential. Every bug, every outage, that's their life's work on the line. There's no safety net. It either works or you're done.
Then you've got the data strategist, like Alex Karp of Palantir. They're not selling products to you and me, they're selling insight, to governments, to massive corporations. Their software gets so deeply embedded in how these places make decisions that it literally becomes how they interpret reality. I mean, just think about that. That's a powerful, powerful moat.
Okay, for our third and final blueprint, we're moving away from infrastructure and code and into something just as powerful, the narrative. This is all about taking cultural influence, things like attention, trust, and belief, and turning it into cold, hard equity. This quote about Tyler Perry just nails the strategy of the media architect. See, being the star is great, but at the end of the day, you're waiting for someone else's permission. Owning the studio, the land, the entire production infrastructure, that's sovereign power. You stop asking for a seat at the table, and you just build your own.
This gives us a perfect picture of how the brand idol playbook works. Right there in the center, you have cultural trust, often built through music or art. But then that trust is methodically channeled into a whole portfolio of businesses they own. Think Rihanna or Jay-Z. Fenty Beauty wasn't just another makeup line, it solved a huge supply gap for inclusion. And a move like that just prints money. It's about converting loyalty directly into a balance sheet.
And you see this exact same mindset with the athlete investor. Michael Jordan and LeBron James understood that a salary is temporary, but ownership is generational. The real pivot is going from just collecting a paycheck to building an empire. They plan their exit before they even hit their peak, using their fame and access to get real stakes in businesses.
So we've looked at these different paths, right? The physical, the digital, and the cultural. They all seem pretty different, but what's the one big idea that ties them all together? This is the systemic takeaway, and honestly, it's the most important part of this whole analysis. It all comes down to one word: control. Control of production, of infrastructure, of distribution, and of the narrative itself. And these aren't just clever business moves, they're strategic responses to a system where access to capital was never a guarantee.
You don't take wild gambles when the odds are stacked against you. You secure the choke points.
If you add up all the wealth from the billionaires who followed these blueprints, you get a staggering number, around $90 billion. But believe it or not, that's not the whole story.
Because get this, that massive $90 billion figure can be eclipsed by a single tech founder in a different ecosystem, all by themselves. And that shocking fact leads us right to the core argument of this whole thing. And here it is. The big disparity in wealth we see isn't because of a talent gap. It's because of a systems gap. The systems that are in place, access to capital, legal protections, who you know, that's what ultimately determines who gets to compound wealth into the stratosphere and who has to build every single brick from the ground up.
So, at the end of the day, these aren't just success stories to admire. They're strategic maps. Each one has different risks, different sacrifices, and different rewards. So the question we're left with is, looking at these blueprints, which route would you take?